Hey, welcome to the Tim and Gugabe podcast. This is your host, Tim, but we have a special guest, the only one we've ever had. We never do video format either because we're lazy, and Gugabe is in Australia in a prison cell, so we don't always want to show that. But we got Andrew Gombas with us, and we've made a couple appearances on his podcast. And how you doing, man? Like, I'm glad you're here, you know?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I hope you guys are doing well also. It's an honor and a privilege to be the first guest. And I must say, that's the best setup I've ever seen Gugabe with in the years of talking to him. So that's a huge shout out that way, Gugabe.
I was telling him before you got on, I was like, this is a great setup. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, usually it looks like you're in an enclosed position and just like you're getting visited at a jail or something with like a phone booth. But
That's exactly.
Gugabe, how are you doing, man?
They gave me a treadmill for my prison cell and they made it slightly bigger, so life's good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, life takes along.
I think Magic might show up, but I don't know if he can. So if he comes in here, we'll add him to the stream. But we'll recap very briefly on the last event. So did you play Clark, Gugabe? And we're only doing this because he wanted to victory lap Devin Clark. Did you play him?
I did play him from small, but also the thing, even for round one, you could still get him at plus 330 after round one. I was like, he's won the round clearly, and is like, what? How?
Could you? I wasn't watching live.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because, did you watch the fight?
Oh, hold on. Magic, what's up, man?
I cover a Devin Clark enthusiast.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you. Well, Magic, you ended up showing up, and we are celebrating victory lapping Gugabe's Devin Clark win from last week.
Yeah, I have to jump in here to prevent Gugabe from telling lies to hardworking people.
Look, Devin Clark is an underrated fighter, would be top 5 if he could get his shit together slightly. That's always been my view of Devin Clark. And Devin Clark needs to fight Jake Matthews and have their dads on the side also fighting.
I had Young, and that was probably my only bad bet of the card. It was horrible. He didn't look like himself, right? He looked very awkward. I don't know. At the space, what was he trying to do?
Keep Devin Clark off him. He couldn't.
Clark's annoying. He's one of those guys who can put up decent performances, and then he can just look fucking awful. I don't know. He's just he's like a guy you can play as a big underdog, but not really as a favorite. But let's get into it. All right. I want to talk the main event. I haven't talked about this fight with anyone, and I haven't seen your guys' podcast this week, so I don't know your take. But judging by Magic's tweets, I think I know where he stands. So Magic, I'll kick it to you. Do you think Volkanovski gets the win this weekend?
Yeah, I'm picking him for the upset. But I think he's going to get obliterated or be a much closer fight than the odds suggest. You know what I mean? I can see the grappling upside and the size being too much, and him getting caught in transition early or armbar or something really fast, because Makhachev is a good opportunistic finisher. But if not, I think he's a much bigger guy than people realize, and he's going to keep moving, beat him to the next position, keeping himself moving, kind of what Sarukian was doing when he was under Makhachev. Every time this is on the feed, it's Volkanovski's fight to lose, in my opinion. This guy's a clown.
I don't know who this is, but I was just throwing this up there for you.
It's probably a partner, right? Maybe it's not him.
Okay. Well, all right. All right, Andrew, I'm going to talk to you about this. So I personally think Volkanovski, we haven't seen a ton of his grappling, but we have seen it in spots. We saw, I think the two most relevant fights are the Mendez fight and the Ortega fight. Did you see anything in those fights to make you think Volkanovski's fucked here?
Yeah, I think he's probably a decent grappler, but to be a decent grappler going up against Makhachev, a weight class up, just probably isn't going to be enough here. And I always kind of felt like the games of Makhachev and Khabib also were kind of misunderstood. They're good wrestlers, but I think where they really excel is from the top position. And I just think Makhachev's going to work him on the mat if he gets it there, which I do think he will. On the feet, Volkanovski's better, but I just don't know how long he can keep it there. And I said this to you yesterday, Magic, but if I were Volkanovski's coach game planning for this fight, I'd have him going berserk from the opening bell, like staying in Makhachev's face, not trying to point fight, but really just trying to swing for the kill and really just put pressure on him, make him feel uncomfortable. Because I think the more he hangs around, the more Makhachev's just going to drag him in the deep waters and probably submit him.
Do you have anything on the fight? If you yeah. What are you leaning towards here?
I bet doesn't go the distance at -150. I feel like that hits at a higher clip than 60%. I mean, if you take a look, Makhachev submitted Oliveira, Bobby Green, Drew Dober, like just to name a few, usually pretty early. I don't see how that, like, I don't know. What does a Makhachev decision really look like where he's like ragdolling Volkanovski on the mat but can't submit him? Or like a close fight where Makhachev can't get him down at all. I just feel like he's going to finish him on the mat. And if he doesn't, it's probably because Volkanovski ended up bombing him out on the feet. So I like doesn't go.
Gugabe, I have a feeling you probably are passing on this fight, but what do you like? Do you think Volkanovski has a shot?
I have some little late submission props to Makhachev. I think it's the best way of playing him. Like, I just prefer Makhachev sub +150 to ML -400.
Yeah,
like, I just think if he's getting his top time, he'll credibly go for a sub. Like, I just would not play -400 in the spot. Like my view is like, Makhachev sodomized Bobby Green. I think Bobby Green's a very good grappler. Like, again, to me, like, in terms of Makhachev's career performances, that Bobby Green one, he just annihilated him. I'm just like,
he didn't submit him.
He's still fucking.
Bobby Green just covered like a pussy. He quit.
Still, like, the fact that he did Bobby Green like that, when Bobby Green honestly is like probably top 10, top 5 defensive grappler for that division. It's just, Volkanovski, we haven't really seen much off his back. Like, maybe he's elite. Volkanovski's made a huge career out of just getting better in spots.
That's one of my favorite fights, man. Like, everybody was telling me how great value Bobby Green was. And this guy was like running all along the fence, trying to escape from this man.
But like, if anybody was going to be it, was going to be Bobby Green. Because like, you're +1000, the guy who has good,
Bobby Green, bro. Bobby Green could give Habib hell.
Yeah, like, I'm kind of like in the middle ground here. Like, I don't think there's I don't want to be playing Islam -400 just because like Volkanovski could be the better striker if it just happens to be there or whatever. But I think it's I think the best way to play it is sub or inside the distance for Islam, just because it's the way Volkanovski scrambles up. Either it's going to work or he's going to get caught, like, because he gives up his back. And just I watched that Mendez fight, and even a gassed Mendez had his back, and it was just not good. And like, Volkanovski did the right thing to come up, but to give up his back and come up, but doing that against Islam, like, it might get him subbed. And maybe he is a smart fighter, so maybe he'll try something else and not give up his back. But if he does that, he could be in a bad spot. And then just watching Ortega inside trip him against a cage and like get mount into I just feel like it's so much better just to play the inside the distance or sub on Islam. And I don't want to play his money line just in case he decides to strike, which I think he might strike a little bit, but I think he'll go to it. But I think that's the way to play it. But I mean, if he decides to strike with Volk, like, Volk is live, but I ultimately just didn't like those sequences of Volkanovski in those grappling positions. And I think he's probably going to get subbed here. But I have a lot of respect for Volkanovski. So, I wouldn't mind seeing him win either. But let's go to the co-main event. And I have some hot takes on this fight, but Gugabe, I'll throw it to you first. Emmett and Yair, and I want to ask you or anyone else, is there like injury rumors here? I just don't pay attention to this stuff as much as other people. And I've been hearing stuff that Emmett might be injured. I usually don't put too much of that into my analysis. I kind of like to watch tape and stats and kind of, whatever. But Gugabe, have you heard anything? And like, what do you think of the fight overall?
Apparently, hip injury thing. Josh Emmett's apparently had it for a while, though. I think there's been talk about it in multiple fights now. And like, my issue is just like, I think Josh Emmett has multiple like -300 paths to victory, but is very live to just be an idiot and sit on the outside, giving him like a 10 strike per round kind of perfect kickboxing match, which is Like, if Josh Emmett came out and wrestled like concertedly, he could look minus 400 here. If Josh Emmett forces the pocket, he could look minus 400 here. If Josh Emmett decides to joust on the outside at 20 strikes per round for 25 minutes, which is probably what Josh Emmett is going to do, he will look probably about plus 150. So, like, injury stuff aside, I think Josh Emmett has to be the side just because, he's an idiot, but, like, he has so much upside if he fights intelligently. Like, Josh Emmett could grapple and annihilate him. Like, we haven't really seen Josh Emmett's control game, but his wrestling's good, and Yair just seems like a fucking liability. And, like, Yair's career is just kind of meme anyway. Like, he's got a bunch of wonky wins. Like, Ortega, who cares? His arm popped out. Korean Zombie, hilarious. Holloway, he looked better than expected, but I think like Holloway actually wasn't a bad spot. And then like Holloway had like fucking the grappling domination was insane. Like Holloway is not that great a grappler, and he was completely shitting on him in round 3.
He looked like Khabib, and then like kind of piggybacking off you, Gugabe. Like his last 5 fights, it's like Ortega injury, Holloway he got grapple fucked. Jeremy Stevens, if that was 5 rounds, Stevens probably wins that fight. Like he had him passed out and was beating the shit out of him, and the pressure got to him. And then Korean Zombie, he got a meme elbow. Like, and then against Edgar, he got destroyed. His last clean win was BJ Penn in 2017. And I'm not like talking shit. So I still don't. Emmett's sort of untrustworthy, although he has won 5 fights in a row. But there's a couple I thought he lost, and I do think he can get beat from distance, like you were talking. But like, if he follows a game plan, I picked him to win straight. Like, if he follows any game plan, crashing the pocket, I think he has better boxing. And if he wrestles here, he could seriously dominate. So I'm kind of echoing your points and the fact that Yair's 5 wins are crazy. Like, imagine Evloev versus Yair. It's just Evloev would destroy him. So he's kind of in like a fortunate position to get here. He has some decent parts to his game, but he's a flawed fighter. And Magic, what do you are you kind of leaning towards what Gugabe and I are saying, or do you think Yair's going to win?
Yeah, I had a pretty passionate take about this on the pod yesterday.
Okay.
I think Josh Emmett is going to emasculate this man. And if he's injured, actually bad news for Yair, because Emmett is going to come out cold for like 6 minutes and probably emasculate him actually worse. Like, I don't get it. If he comes out grappling, he has minus 1,000 upside. Honestly, like Yair, I've been telling forever, but he just keeps fucking getting away with it. I'm sick of the guy. I don't know how he does it, but he's not a top 25 featherweight. Like Jonathan Pierce will take this man down and eat his heart on national TV, like easily. Jonathan Pierce minus 400 against Yair. I'm not joking.
No, I would pick Jonathan Pierce over him for sure.
What do you mean pick? Like a single leg and the fight is over.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, if this guy doesn't kill Darren Elkins in the first exchange, he will have a life and death affair with Darren Elkins. I'm serious. Like, he's not good. And people love to act like he's this knockout artist finisher. He has finished BJ Penn, and then he has like a flying kick over Philly and the Korean Zombie elbow. He doesn't finish anyone, basically.
I do agree here that Emmett could give him the fight he wants, which would be really annoying, because like if Emmett does what he should do, I think he could fucking boat race him, But even if Yair gives him that fight, it's like Emmett could still win. He's probably like Gugabe said, like plus 150 or something. Like, I don't know. Yeah,
it's like you get a fair bet or you get massive upside. Like the only situation I see Yair covering is if the injury is there and it's fucking bad.
Yeah, he's just fucked, which somehow is gonna fucking happen. Like it's gonna be really annoying too. Gombas, what do you think about this? And do you agree with Magic that Yair's a fraud?
Yeah, so I guess I'll be the only one to pick Yair. It's not a confident take, but I really liked the under 4.5 at early prices. I feel like this fight could go one of 3 ways. We talked about Emmett potentially giving Yair the fight that he wants. I think if he stays at range with him, Yair's going to torch him. I think the leg kicks are going to be there for Yair all day if he stands in front of him. But I think if Emmett grapples, he has big favorite upside. I think he could dumpster Yair on the mat with ground and pound. I think a finish is likely from that. And if Emmett just crashes the pocket, comes forward swinging for the knockout, which is how I think he's going to approach the fight, I think the under's a good look there. And then it kind of becomes anyone's fight, in my opinion. But yeah, I love the under 4.5. It was like plus 150, plus 175, down to like plus 115 right now. But I think any plus money on that is solid, just given the fact that all the different ways the fight could go, that's going to be in play. Like, the concerns on the Emmett side are kind of hard to ignore. Like, I think he's about to turn 38. He fights once a year. As much as we want to believe he's going to go out there and just grapple, I think he shot like one takedown in his last like however many fights, like his last like 5 fights or something like that. I don't have the stat in front of me, but he just doesn't attempt takedowns consistently enough.
Yeah,
he could here, but he just hasn't proven to me that he's going to do that. So I like the under. I'm picking Yair and rooting for Emmett.
Yeah, it's still just kind of a weird fight because even Emmett's had like a couple decisions in a row. I don't even know if he won like that Cater fight, so it is a weird interim fight, and I guess the winner will get Volkanovski depending what happens in that title fight. But let's go to a very hyped prospect, Jack Della Madalena versus Randy Brown. There's a lot of hype on Jack Della Madalena, and he's looked good so far. But I do think this is the best guy he's fought right so far, Randy Brown. And Magic, I'll throw it to you if you want to go. What do you think the favorite line at like minus 330 is justified, or what do you think? And again, I didn't see your podcast, so I don't really know your opinion. So sorry if you already talked about this one.
Yeah, Jack Della Madalena is probably going to win every UFC belt from welterweight until Cyril Gane, and then jump to boxing and beat Canelo. Most likely outcome. He's priced like cocaine. Like, what is going on? I mean, I really like his boxing, but it's all he has. He's not very athletic. He's not very fast. He gets hit. He retreats in straight lines, and Randy is big, fast, and black, much more athletic than him, and has grappling. And I don't know. He's the better fighter. Randy should be the favorite. Maybe he gets hit with a body shot and dies, but I just don't see how he's going to justify this price, even if Randy completely negates grappling. So yeah, if he dies, he dies. But I think he's probably the best bet of the card, Randy Brown, in my opinion.
Gombas, what do you think here?
Yeah, we had a nice chat about this fight last night because it was one of the rare times where I gave a strong counterpoint to Magic's his speech, and he kind of like agreed and got behind it. But the one thing I saw on tape that I really don't like is how Randy Brown defends when people step into the pocket. Like even in the Trinaldo fight, like Trinaldo kind of steps in and throws like a big hook, and Randy Brown kind of just like does that, and it just like bounced off his gloves. I feel like that's where Jack excels, and I would never advocate for laying minus 300 in this spot, but that just seeing that bad defensive tendency was enough to keep me off of Randy Brown here. And again, like the Emmett fight, he doesn't consistently go to grappling. Like some people, like I get it, like Jack's grappling is kind of untested from what we've seen. It doesn't look great, but Randy Brown doesn't really proactively shoot takedowns. So I'm picking Jack to get the win here.
So I was going to ask you about that. Like, so right here, Randy Brown sub for the boys. Do you think what do you project his chances are of successfully grappling, whether it's a sub or on the mat? Like he only lands 0.65 takedowns per 15. And I think that's kind of the problem. Like I do think, sorry, I also have my dog over here. But I think I don't know. I just don't see him persistently grappling. I think there's going to be a spot where Madalena will get out grappled, and I'll be waiting. But I don't know if this is a spot. What do you think?
You just nailed it. Yeah, to a T. I mean, like you said, Randy Brown literally doesn't grapple usually, so it's hard to trust that he's going to do something that he doesn't typically do. That's the best comment I've ever seen. But yeah, I think when the time comes, it's going to be great. I just don't think that it's here.
Yeah.
He's talking about Gugabe, right?
Yeah. Yes. Gugabe,
because
people love picking on
you
Gugabe
don't get people in the same order.
But it's all fun and games. We have thick skin here. But Gugabe, what do you? I'm guessing you probably think Brown's aside.
Yeah, medium play Brown. It's like if you're not doing that, you're stupid. Like, just I mean, my issue with Randy Brown is that Randy Brown pressure issue, bit fragile. Della could definitely just bomb him out. Like it could happen. But like, I think Randy Brown is like, I'm personally a fan of Randy Brown, and like, there's not many welterweights I'd make minus 300 against Randy Brown. Like, it's pretty much only like the sort of Usman, Colbington, like that kind of tier. Like, yeah, I think Randy Brown, like, he's dangerous, he's athletic, he's explosive, he can sort of hurt you everywhere. Like, just the baseline of Randy Brown against the majority of fighters is higher than plus 300, in my opinion. Right. Della's not really a push for leg kicks. Like, you know, I'm not saying Randy Brown's a future champion, but I just think, you know, he can just, you know, he's a tough out in a lot of ways. Yeah, I know Della. I've met Della before. Like, we actually, I played rugby with him like ages ago, like when we were both like 16 or 17. Oh, really? So I know him and his brother, and like, yeah, like a great guy, but like, it's pure pocket boxing. You can't check leg kicks. He doesn't throw leg kicks. Randy Brown hates leg kicks. His grappling is atrocious. Every time he has been taken down, he's essentially been instantly submitted and then been just gotten out of it by like fucking WWE just flexing out of it. Like, I may have had him instantly, even died of cancer. Like, I still have no idea what happened to Amif there. And otherwise, his wins are just kind of like, well, you know, the corpse of Danny Roberts, Pete Rodriguez landed the bunch on him. Like, you know, Pete Rodriguez isn't great there, but it was the slugfest. Like, I just, unless you think Della is like the best boxer in the sport, I don't understand how you get to this price. Like, Randy Brown's not the perfect fade. There are worse welterweights who I'd rather take to fade Della with, who are either a bit more durable or a bit more consistent. Like, if Dalby was still like, probably not Dalby right now, but Dalby 2 years ago, I'd be fucking happy to take at this price because he'd just shoot.
I gotcha. Yeah. Well, yeah, like I picked Della Madalena to win, but I wouldn't be playing. I do think it's dog or pass. I'm passing personally because I'm a pussy, but I think it's like a thing where, like, I don't think the grappling is going to happen. I think a sub in transition out of 100 fights could maybe happen, but I tend to think Brown's not going to do that. I think it's just going to depend what range the fight takes place in, you know, and I feel like Madalena will force a pocket enough to where he'll probably win because of that, but he's only landed 5 leg kicks in the UFC. So that helps Brown a lot. That's like a point, you know, that I think is important because that's like one of the biggest weaknesses of Brown. But Brown's fucking huge. And like, if Madalena doesn't fight smart, he could lose, you know, and Brown has really good striking metrics. He's long, and at long range, he could be better. Like, I picked Madalena to win. I think he will force a pocket, and that's what will ultimately get it done. But minus 350 and probably his toughest matchup yet in a high variance striking fight, I'm not interested at all. And I'm cheering for Brown in that one. I like Brown too. He's just like a guy. He's a decent fighter, you know.
I think
he's like pure kickboxing.
Don't you think so? Like,
what's that?
Madalena, his clinch is horrible. Like, I can see Brown like ruining his life in the first clinch, like trip or whatever, or body lock, or maybe like the Oliveira bear hug over the neck. He's gigantic. He does very awkward things in the clinch, Della Madalena. He has gotten away with them so far, but he hasn't really faced anyone good. And a mid-fight was like 2 minutes.
Are you worried about the chin, like Gugabe? Because I do think, like, but again, Madalena, like, it's like hasn't really fought anyone good to be tested, you know? So, like, he probably, I mean, Brown's chin on the inside is not great, I would say. But again, like, Della Madalena hasn't really been, like, hit really because of the.
I think Brown has the better chin in the fight.
What's up?
Brown has the better chin in the fight.
You think so?
Yeah.
Watch Della's Eternal matchups. He gets wobbled and hurt a lot against like random Western Australians
in the regionals.
Yeah, like he just goes to war. Like, you know, they're great fights, but like he's not destroying. He's not covering minus 350 against this like random Australian bums.
I think he may get a body shot and look like a killer or something, but he's going to get touched here for sure. Unless it goes half a minute, he's getting touched.
Yeah, it's a classic sort of thing where it's like either Della knocks him out inside 2 minutes, everybody has a fucking party about how he's minus 2,000, or like
then fights.
There's an opportunity to mix marshals.
Shavkat Rakhmonov, and he's even money.
Yeah, quite possibly. Again, like, he probably destroys Shavkat's bum ass, but like, yeah, Shavkat not good. Randy Brown good. But anyway, it's an annoying spot because it's just like, you know a Della win is going to be like a very quick knockout round one. Everybody will fucking have a party about it. And it's like it isn't necessarily indicative. And like even if it's like a pure boxing sort of thing, I'm just like Della's defense is shit enough. Brown is explosive enough. I'm not like I wouldn't say like Della is automatically minus 350 if he just gets his perfect fight.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point. Like I'm interested in the fight. It's a good test from Della Madalena. Like I like the step up, and we'll kind of see where he's at. The main event of the evening, Justin Taffa and Parker Porter. I mean, I have to let Gugabe just start talking about this fight. I feel like he has to be the one to start it. And could you, Gugabe, I'm going to ask you this. I think I saw some discussion on Twitter. Could you out-grapple Justin Taffa right now?
We literally had that debate yesterday on our podcast. I was going to bring that up.
I told my Delta 2 weeks ago, so I am currently not grappling. But I'm pretty sure me 3 weeks ago would beat the Justin Taffa from regional Australian type. Whether he's improved his grappling,
like his grappling, like legitimately looked awful.
I would bet you against Taffa. Like I'm serious. I would bet on you against Taffa.
I mean, he might have improved now. He's become like full time and like been in the UFC for a couple of years. Like you never know, but like the guy who fought on the regionals, that was.
No, I mean right
awful.
now, I have the confidence. Don't worry. I don't need no explanations.
I have one arm, man. I have legitimately one arm.
He's TJ Jericho right now.
You're gonna be pissed when Gugabe goes out there and strikes with them and doesn't try to get it off.
Gugabe getting his head kicked off in the third round.
Pretty much. I'll just hit my foot sweep. Magic talked shit on my foot sweep, which upset me greatly.
I wasn't talking shit. It was amazing. Like it was like a Kung Fu Panda technique. Just grazed the guy, and the guy went down.
Yeah, well, what more do you need? So Parker Porter, if he does grapple, should beat the Justin Taffa because like the level of grappling Justin Taffa showed in the Australian regionals was fucking horrific.
Really
Tim and I got baited into a awful, never could possibly win bet on Juan Adams against Justin Taffa. Like possibly the worst bet of our betting careers. It was, we just threw money away. But like somebody who's a little bit more mentally stronger than Juan Adams might be able to take on like a UFC 1 level grappler. Like it's hard to like people don't realize how bad Justin Taffa is off his back.
He has nothing. He's like flat, nothing.
Yeah.
But Juan Adams is like you cannot trust the guy. There is too much separation between the eyes for me to bet that guy. It's a big no.
I come onto their stream and make one wife beating joke, and everybody gives me shit. Now Magic's just targeting every sort of community.
Yeah. We're gonna get banned off YouTube because of that.
I'm a good guy. They know Gugabe does it with bad intentions, but I'm like a cool guy.
We're gonna get canceled for sure, but I don't care. Whatever. Magic. Who do you got here? Like, what do you think overall in the fight?
I think it's obviously Taffa early or the fat guy late, but
yeah. Not
very interested. I took a little bit of Porter round 3. It's great odds. There is a big possibility Taffa is having a heart attack or laying on his back, and Porter is big and fat and the way better grappler and can probably abuse him in round 3 if we get there. So why not? But round 1 is going to be funny for sure.
Gombas, where you at here?
Yeah, I had a quote last night that summed it up about as good as I could sum it up. I wouldn't bet this fight with your money. Like I just have zero interest. I feel like Porter has maybe a little bit of grappling upside and a little bit of cardio upside, and Taffa has a little bit of finishing upside. Like just pass all around.
I
think live betting is like I feel like because Porter might die early, and I do think Taffa is probably going to – I favor him a little bit early, but I do think Porter will take over late. Like I think it's a clear live betting spot, and I think Porter has a lot of late round upside. So I think that's probably the way I'm going to approach it. I just don't want to be putting money like on a fight like this. It just scares the shit out of me.
I just think, at even money, I think Porter's upside is just so much stronger than Taffa's. Like Taffa has like a round 1 KO maybe, but even he doesn't seem like that big a hitter. Like he's killed some people, but mostly bums, and it's like yeah, and also like I don't think Taffa's cardio is that bad. Like the Felipe fight wasn't actually a bad display of cardio for a heavyweight. Like he looks like he should have shit cardio, but he does seem to have it.
Yeah, plus money he's the side, but I really don't want to touch it. I was kind of not surprised, but he's not as bad as I thought. When he was under Jailton for 4 minutes, I was like, maybe you are not as fat as I thought, as useless as I thought. You know what I mean? He was doing some things to survive. And Taffa is a 0 on the mat, like an absolute 0. So he maybe he looks like Charles Oliveira here if he gets on top.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let's go to the main card.
Can we get to this, please? Like I was thinking the same thing. Are you building a spacecraft or what is that?
No, it's my treadmill. I just it
there is no tread, bro.
It's a treadmill. How do I tell this?
How is that a treadmill?
Oh, I get it now. It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was looking at that.
Like,
what is that? Maybe some betting instrument.
I thought it was like an old man's walker from like 2070 or something.
Yeah, that's how Gugabe attended the UFC Abu Dhabi with one of those walking in the arena.
Australia is far ahead of the rest of the world. I'm sorry.
All right, let's go to the main card opener. Jimmy Crute and Alonzo Menifield. Andrew, I'll just give it to you right away. Do you have anything here? And like the lines come in a bit. I think Crute was like minus 230 for a bit. Now he's about minus 185, at least what I'm seeing. Do you think he should win this fight? And how do you think this one's going to go?
Yeah, I do think he should win this fight, but it's just hard to trust him at minus 200. I guess it has come in a little bit, but given the fact he's coming off a layoff, a surgery layoff, his striking metrics aren't that good, but I do think he's better technically than Menifield. I actually was decently impressed with Menifield's defensive grappling, so I don't think Crute is going to have a ton of grappling success, but I think if anyone gets takedowns, it's probably him. I was saying how hilarious it is watching back the Crute versus Smith fight, and Crute completely blows out his ankle and then just like easily takes down Anthony Smith twice. Like it was so funny.
It was one of the dumbest moments in UFC history. Like he had one leg and then he just starts dominating. Why didn't you do that from the beginning? Yeah,
he didn't shoot once until he completely blew his ankle out, and then he shoots, takes him down again. It was so funny. But yeah, I'm picking Crute here with like not a ton of confidence.
Yeah. Magic. I'll go and then I'll kick it to you, Magic. Like I thought the Menifield versus OSP fight was like really bad, and the fact that he lost to like William Knight in a fight, I don't know. Like if Crute follows a game plan, like he might not get takedowns right away, but I think eventually he'll probably like take care of him. And like even on the feet, it's like Menifield, if he doesn't KO him, I don't really see him winning the fight. Like I just feel like he'll get kind of outworked, and I just don't like some of Menifield's fights that he's had, but he could land a knockout. And like Magic, do you think Crute's going to just roll here, or how do you see this going?
Yeah, I have nothing on the fight. I think Crute is going to win, but it could be very ugly or look very easy, or maybe he just fucking dies in round 1. I don't really see an angle to bet this fight. I have seen many people on Menifield round 1 knockout. I don't hate it. It's like 8-1, 9-1.
Yeah,
that's fair. If it gets extended, Crute should have the better grappling, better wrestling upside.
Yeah,
and he's cleaner on the feet. But I could see him like just getting knocked out silly. It's a little bit of an awkward fight in my opinion.
Yeah, if you like Menifield, I agree. The KO one is probably the way to go, because after that, I just don't see him winning the fight. But Gugabe, you got anything? You hate Australians. I feel like you pick against them all the time. So you're going to do that here?
Yeah, I think it's pretty close to a coin flip. Crute doesn't like leg kicks. Menifield had that Herman performance where he just went to them the entire time, and I feel like that's very live here. I think Menifield's grappling is honestly one of his better skill sets. Like he kept Serkinov off fine. I think like the Serkinov fight is actually quite similar to this one. It's like Crute isn't as fragile as Serkinov, but it's like his strong suits are also Serkinov. Like he's kind of like a slightly more normal Serkinov. Like, yeah, he's not as good at the things that Serkinov is good at as Serkinov is, but he's also not as bad as Serkinov is at like existing and fragility and not being pussy. But yeah, I just see it like, Crute is essentially a glass cannon at this point. He made Jamal Hill look like Nagano. Like the way Hill killed him was just so like, Hill doesn't do that to people. I think it was kind of meet in the middle. I don't think Crute will get early takedowns. I think Menifield's been improving a little bit, and like, yeah, I'm just happy to take the plus 200 on the scary black dude or plus 170 on the scary athletic dude at light heavyweight generally. Like, I just think Crute has very little defense. I think his grappling's a bit overrated. Yeah.
Is this true? Menifield has an 18-year-old girlfriend?
I don't know. I saw that. I don't want to get
Let's
canceled.
talk about
Against
this.
Game 6 years, so it's okay.
I just don't feel. When you guys come in, you bring.
I
the
feel like
party,
this can be a
I'm
solid
just like,
segment
fuck.
of this episode.
But
Actually, one more thing I was thinking.
Is this a
Also
copy
with Crute, I've seen Crute around gyms over here in like Melbourne, and like by all accounts, his knee/hip/ankle thingy has been like a whole protracted saga. Again, I'm not sure how bettable that is, but like, yeah, I saw him about 4 months ago, and he wasn't rolling, he wasn't doing anything. So I'm just like,
yeah.
UFC fighters are notorious for getting destroyed and just having the best performances. But I don't know.
It's a lie. What a disappointment. I was about to bet Menifield. Maybe he has that dog in him.
Yeah, I don't know. I do think Menifield could kill him early, but if again, Crute live bet could be an option because like Menifield will probably compete early or might knock him out, but I have nothing pre-fight. Like I just wanted to talk the main card, but we can go over a couple prelims. Like, is there any one prelim you guys are interested in that you like really want to talk about? Like Gugabe, is there anything like you have a play on that you want to talk about?
Kill about live bet's not bad. Actually, I think Shannon Ross isn't completely fucked here. At least I think that's going to be just a complete mess. Like I took some plus under. I think if you can get like KO2, KO3, that kind of stuff, like I've got some like plus 1500, KO2 free, KO3 plus 3000 kind of shit.
Yeah.
Like Clayton is a good talent, but I feel like people watch this Tuesday night contender fight where they found a fucking 4'8" guy who got completely scared off by him, and it made Clayton look like a fucking giant who had like complete control of distance and range. And like Shannon Ross is the same size as him. Like I just feel like that Tuesday night contender fight, because it was like Clayton got the absolute perfect opponent who completely let him do everything he wanted. Everybody looks at that fight and goes, "This guy is incredible." It's like, I don't think he is.
I like that doesn't go the distance in that one. If you watch in 9 minutes on the contender series, like Shannon Ross absorbed 78 significant strikes and landed like 68 because he will bring the heat. And I just feel like I think he got knocked down 3 times and then knocked out. And I just feel like I feel like he's just going to bring the heat and he's probably going to get knocked out, or it's just going to cause like high variance moments. And he's not that good on the mat. Like I've seen him subbed. I think Clayton will probably finish him. And I feel like minus 145 doesn't end inside the distance. That jumped out at me personally. I don't really care about the money line, but I feel like Clayton's better, but Shannon Ross like could maybe tire him out with the pressure, but I think it's just going to lead to a finish either way. You get Magic Random. You guys feel like talking about this fight?
Yeah.
I think Clayton is going to kill this man. Like he's going to I don't know what he's doing in the UFC because he's not good. Yeah, this is true. He fought with appendicitis, I think, on contenders. Now that it's removed, he's an elite fighter without appendicitis. Shannon Ross. I think he's going to come forward. Probably goes out to some song like Coming Home or something like John Jones. This is my moment, Australia, my family. Comes forward and Clayton is going to hit him with a fucking bunker and face plant him or something, bro. His striking defense is non-existent. He is kind of cheating. Clayton is explosive. He's fast. He has a big check hook. He has power. He has grappling upside. Go Shannon. But
yeah,
remember when Callum Potter won a UFC fight?
Huh?
Remember when Callum Potter won a UFC fight?
What do you mean? Remember? I bet him against Pitolo, bro.
Exactly. So, like, the Australians have a certain power where, like, I think Shannon Ross is going to be our Callum Potter this card.
To this day, I believe he could have beaten Tyron Woodley for the belt. Callum Potter, the rockstar.
Callum Potter is incredible.
That grappling attack was relentless.
Gombas, is there any fight on the prelims you want to talk about? And then I'll ask Magic, and then we'll probably just call it a wrap.
Yeah, none that I'm betting, but just from like an interested perspective, I was talking about this yesterday, and I talked about it when Jack Jenkins was going into the contender series, but I was actually pretty high on him, which I'm very rarely like hyping up prospects as they come into the UFC. But I was high on him going into contenders. I bet him on contenders. Like, I'm not going to play minus 350 on him here, but I do think this is a good fight for him. And I'm kind of just looking to get some questions answered because I do think he's a good prospect. I think he's well-rounded. So I'm just curious to see how that one goes from a curiosity perspective. And again, I know that Shannon isn't necessarily mid-tier UFC competition, but hopefully it gives us a little bit of a benchmark to where he's at.
Yeah, I wrote in my write-up that I do like that. I thought I was actually impressed with his tape too. It's just his competition hasn't been good, so I kind of want to see him. Like, I feel like I'm not saying he's as good as Nathaniel Wood, but he like mixes in the calf kicks and you see the boxing in his game, and he can use physicality to get top position too. He looks a little like he has cardio for days too. Like, I saw him in a 5-round fight where he went, but again, his competition's been bad, so that always concerns me. But I actually think he might end up being good. Magic and Gugabe, did you kind of think?
Jack Jenkins, or did we change fights? We are still talking about Jack Jenkins.
Yeah.
You two are insane, man. This is exactly why I'm doing this podcast, to prevent the spreading of lies. Like, Jack Jenkins is absolutely not good at MMA. Like, stop.
I don't know if he's good. I'm just saying, like, he was beating terrible fighters, but I thought his skill set looked all right, like, overall.
I spent a month traveling the UK with Jack Jenkins when I was 15, so I am not the biggest fan of the human being, to be honest. Like, he has a strong personality, put it that way. Again, he was 15 years old, so I don't know whether it's...
Are there like 30 people in Australia? Everyone there.
Yeah,
this one rugby tour just somehow produced multiple UFC fighters, and like, I'm not sure why. It's like 40 of us, and like 2 people now in the UFC. It's like you were Michael Chandler. It's like, yeah, you know most of you. I suppose you did wrestling, so it's a little bit different. But
yeah,
like, yeah, Australia's weird because like, yeah, like around Melbourne, like it's probably half of the scene, so you get like people just dropping in. Like, I don't know, is what it is. Anyway, I don't think Jack Jenkins is athletic enough to really succeed. I just think he's a bit mid. But like, in terms of how his game is built and processed and that kind of stuff, I think I think you guys are right. Like, I think he's got a very intelligently built game. Like, he knows what he's doing at all stages. He's busy. He works hard. He works leg kicks. Works body. Like, I think there's a lot of stuff to like there. But I think he's a C- athlete in the UFC. So I'm just like,
I'm willing to die on this hill. He fought a taco seller, and now Don Shanies. The first time he fights a legit UFC fighter, he's going to get dumped, like absolutely trashed. This looks like a prime spot for my newest addition to the Magic Wagon, Francis the Fire Marshall. Yeah, I think this matchup down the line is interesting. Francis Marshall versus Jack Jenkins could be a main event in Australia.
Basically. I like Francis Marshall. Like, I liked him before that fight. He looked good in that fight. It'll be interesting to see how he looks.
Yeah, he's Alex the Great 2.0.
I mean,
okay.
I think Jenkins could be solid, but yeah, again, I'm hoping he gets over Shannon. Hopefully, knock out in the second round because I bet a little bit of late KO because I like his process, and hopefully he gets like put at minus 200 against somebody with actual UFC business, and then you fade the fuck out of him. To be honest,
yeah, fight ends by knockout is plus 100, like even money. That's a great price in my opinion. Doesn't go as minus 200. I don't know if they are bookies expecting Don Shinies to roll, I don't know, an Americana or something.
I mean, I think Jenkins will go for naked chokes. He trains to have absolute down here, so like he does actually have a decent grappling game. And like again, like I just feel like if it's a finish, it's probably going to be Shanies just melting to a tempo. And like I just don't want to. Yeah, it's very easy that Shanies just gives up a naked choke for free kind of situation.
I think it's going to be like a trashy collision, low level, and Shinies probably dies. I don't expect like a real MMA fight. More like a brawl.
Yeah, I think just Jenkins should win on durability output and cardio, really.
Yeah. All right. I know the perfect way to end this fight or this podcast. Magic, you know where I'm going with this. Alexander Hernandez is fighting Jim Miller next week, and just talk about your boy. Is he going to get? Yeah, first of all, have odds come out, and is he going to get? I know you're going to pick him, but talk about it.
This is the perfect way for Jim Miller to go out. Really, I was worried he was going to get knocked out by some Mexican journeyman, but this is great. Like the passing of the torch for the next winningest fighter in the UFC when Alexander gets like 40 wins. This is the perfect scenario. I mean, Miller cannot really grapple offensively in the sense of changing levels anymore, and he's like 70 years old. Hernandez should really like trash him in round 1.
I actually think I'm going to pick Hernandez, like just like thinking about it, like, because not only could he do that, like I do worry about Hernandez on the feet in extended fights, but Miller doesn't have like good defensive wrestling. Like he can get held down, and Hernandez does have part of that in his game. So like I actually am probably going to pick, like I've been lower on Miller than other people. He's had some decent matchups lately, but like stylistically, but whenever I fade him, it's generally successfully worked. I don't think I'll bet the fight, but I do think Hernandez will win. Gugabe, thoughts on that? We just have to talk about the fight for Magic. I can't talk. I can't not talk about.
If Gugabe picks Hernandez, it could be an historic episode. Actually, like, is he going to pick Alexander Hernandez to win a fight?
Yeah, Miller's 39. It's like minus 200. It's minus 200 right now. It seems about right. Obviously Hernandez.
He's minus 200 already.
Yeah.
Who?
Hernandez.
Oh, he's favored. Okay, well, yeah. I didn't know if he would be favored just because he's lost fights lately.
I had the same thought. I was like, oh, maybe I can grab Hernandez at like minus 110. I'd be down for that. But like minus 200, like he's too much of a flake to play at that kind of price.
I wouldn't play him there. But I did pick him to win.
How's going to win this? Like what? Random knockout or guard sub? Like Hernandez looked good against Corantillo until he. Collapsed.
He's fighting people like Renato Moicano, who is hot, and that was basically an even fight before he got hurt to the liver or whatever was that, and he was trashing Billy Q round 1. That was a cardio thing.
I don't know. Thing. Yeah, like Miller's not going to do that, you know. So yeah, but all right, Gombas, do you have any last words? Like I feel like we just like took over the conversation talking about Alexander Hernandez. Got anything or?
No, I'm picking Hernandez as well. But overall, looking forward to the fights this weekend. Thanks, guys, for having me. I'll definitely have to do it again soon.
Cool. Thanks, everybody. And they have a popular podcast, so definitely go check that out. I think they already did it this week, and it's a fun one. So you guys have to check it. I'm sure anyone watching this one watches that one already. But Gugabe, are you going to the card in Australia or no?
I'm not going across to Perth. Like it's sold out like instantly, and the prices are insane. And like it should be a decent card, but like I know, just like from an entertainment point of view, there's only like 2 or 3 fights I really like, to be honest.
Gotcha.
that?
I feel like you got to go. Someone's sneezing really hard over there.
Gugabe's slave is acting up,
and it's like a fucking 4-hour flight to Perth as well. So like it's across the other side of the country.
Yeah, I always forget. Like
they should have like
Australian geography.
Be like Bruce Buffer, but in Australia. I think you should be like introducing the fighters.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. And everyone who was in the comment, I don't even know what the fuck most people were saying. I feel like it's all inside jokes with you guys, and I don't even know what's going on. But thanks for coming, guys. And have a good one and enjoy the card this weekend. So thank you.
See you guys.